What's good? So, this is going to be a continuation of the thought that I had during my transcendental self voice recording. So, this is going to be me talking about what can sort of happen when you go through this experience of encountering the absolute other, right? Very unique, meeting with God in a sense. And the beauty of this meeting with God is that the initial conditions behind this, I think a lot of people are feeling the initial conditions behind this through the fact that they understand that they're not really themselves, or at the very least, they're not really happy with what they believe to be themselves, what they believe to be their routines. They realize that that's not really what they truly want. But a paradox comes from that, right? The paradox is that when you go through individuation, again, talking about this, when you go through individuation and you actualize and you start to realize that you're not who you really are, or that who you really are makes you unhappy, that judgment has to come from something. But that judgment isn't coming from what you are, because what you are doesn't care. What you are would just be like, well, this is the way I truly am. In order for you to make a descriptor about that thing, you have to be outside that thing. I can say, damn, like for instance, my ear, which I don't care about my ear, but let's just say I did. I could be like, damn, I don't like this keloid on my ear. In order for me to say I don't like this keloid on my ear, I have to describe the keloid on my ear as an other. I have to describe it as something external. So in order for you to describe this feeling of yourself, there has to be an externality to the self that you're feeling. And I think a lot of what that is I think that is God. I think that externality is God. But it doesn't make sense, which is why you can't really use science to get this feeling. You can't, it has to be an intuition. You gotta just understand and know. You know what I mean? Like, the self is a fire. I've been thinking about that thought in my head a lot. The self is a fire. What do I mean by that? The self is fed by the breath of God, the husky breath, the mildewy hot breath of God. It breathes down on us and it gives us an assurance as to when we are ourselves, because our flame grows, our fire grows, the fire within us grows, right? And when our fire dims, then we know we're not truly maximizing our power as ourselves. Now, a lot of people might say we never change, which I completely agree with. We never change. This fire never changes. Fire stays the same. The candle stays the same. The wick stays the same. Everything stays the same. But I believe that everybody's potential, when it comes to who they are, changes. Everybody stays the same, but the magnitude and the power behind who they really are changes. Right? Some people are better at being themselves than other people. Right? That's the reason why, a lot of times you see the broke artist and he's happy. But you see it like the rich millionaire that's depressed all the time. It's because one is doing things that do not resonate with his fire. Another one is doing things that does. And God is revealing that to them through the feeling of, pretty much through like the feeling of, their own radiance. When you're being yourself. When you're caught up in the heap of the moment of being yourself. Like a lot of times, you can find yourself where you're caught up and you're looking at yourself and you realize, you're not really escaping yourself anymore. You just are yourself. and you can sort of feel something else acting upon you and making it to where who you are is growing out of control, and it's amazing, right? Because that's what you want to do. You want to expand. But there's moments where you realize that something is giving you tremendous amounts of power that you don't necessarily understand where it's coming from, you know? And I know that this is very abstract, and this is also going to be very short because I'm going to be at the house very, very shortly. But, you know, like I said, a lot of people experience the self as a closed system. Everything ends with the self. So all of their potential can only come from themselves. And when they realize they don't really have enough and they can't draw from anything, then you experience that loneliness. But with the absolute, what it does is it makes you realize that there's something acting upon the self. And when you get in tune with what's acting upon the self, you can like get reciprocity from that thing, you know. You can get nutrients from that thing. For me this year, it was whole lot of knowledge in a short amount of time. I got really strong. Like I got a 150 pound sandbag. I can only lift it up a couple times. Now I'm at the point now to where I have to put more sand in it. So I'm moved up to 200 pounds, you know, and that's not 1 rep max. That's like, I'm doing way too many reps with that 200 pound, not 200, but that 150. So I got up it to 200. I already talked about wisdom. I already talked about the body, the mind too. I can't hang around people, you know, and I know I talk about, you know, I can't hang around people because they don't understand me, but even mentally, it's just, I've started to gain a more mature mindset than a lot of other people. And I'm starting to have a mindset where I just see, like, I look at things in a way to where I want them to be better. You know what I mean? Or I look at things to where I want them to be better, and then there's things that I don't even worry about that a lot of people worry about all the time. You know, like my mom, for example. You know, my mom, she's a catastrophizer. And, you know, she'll worry about shit, and she'll worry about shit so much to where whenever she talks to me, or whenever she'll give a greeting to me, you know, her everyday greeting, she'll come up to me with some BS, like, you know, watch out for pit bulls or this, that, and the third. Just catastrophizing. Disaster immediately enters her mind. It's just like, that's not the first thing. Is that really the first thing that you want on your day? Is a catastrophe? Like, don't you want, like, something that can improve your life every day that you immediately think about? You know what I mean? Like, I understand, you know, you don't want to be an optimist. You want to be a realist. But, you know, you want to be a realist in the confines to where you still have a belief in yourself. You know, you're not saying that you're going to own $1 million tomorrow. But, you know, you can improve where you can. Every day you can improve where you can. And you can see where that goes. You may not earn $1 million tomorrow, but 20 years from now, hey, if you've been on your shit, then maybe then you can get your $1 million. You never know. But that's what I'm talking about here. You know, a lot of people think that they can do everything on their own, and they really can't. You really do need something else. And a lot of people don't really have, a lot of people, including myself, you don't have the luxury of that something else being some other person. Because like I said, when you're around people that don't really get you, you know, that's not really an option. So you gotta find something else. And that something else for me is like the logos. You know, I'm connected to the bestower of fate. I'm connected to the creator of the universe. I'm connected to nature. You know, all these different factors. I can draw from this energy coming from all these different areas: time, matter, space, nature. You know, and I can gain shit from that, bro. You know, I look at that squirrel, and you know, it interests me. I look at the culmination of my past and my future, and I can gain something from that. I look at where I am in history. I can gain something from that. It's not just me. You know, it's not just me. And, you know, when it comes down to it not just being me, a lot of people immediately say, well, you're just a cog in the system. But it's not a cog in the system in like a Marxist type of way to where you're only important if you're contributing something else. Your importance isn't your importance is not your contribution to a system. Your importance is in your individuality. Your importance is in your autonomy within the system itself, not in your contributions. Right? The hammer is not important because it can fucking put a nail in a piece of wood. That's not why the hammer is important. The hammer is important because it has forged itself in a way to where out of all the instruments in the universe, it's the only one efficient enough to do that task. It's the only one efficient enough to do that task to the best of its ability. That's why it's important. And that's what I'm talking about here. That's what I'm talking about here. And when I look at the world, and when I look at all of my externalities that I just talked about with time, space, and matter, whatever spawned all those three things also spawned that mindset within me. You feel me? And whatever it spawned me as, I'm going to make sure that I'm the best. I'm the best that thing in existence, bro. I'm going to be the best Jalen that ever was. And if Jalen turned out to be something that it wasn't, and something else was meant to be that thing, well then too bad to that person, because I already outdid him. But anyways, this is Jalen signing out. Peace.